To come in, Kirby, you had some interesting questions.
Well, in the teas, you talked about prenuptial
Yes.
agreements, and I always love to hear the law on prenuptial agreements and also postnuptial agreements, which maybe people haven't heard of. So educate us on those, Ashley.
Yeah. So typically, a prenuptial agreement or a postnuptial agreement, typically there's got to be some sort of, it's terrible to say it, but a lot of times there's leverage on some side. So may it be money, or may it be past infidelity. One of the biggest things that we've seen as a trend are postnuptial agreements, where something happens and someone has been maybe unfaithful or financially unfaithful, and they need some reassurance. If I'm going to stay in this marriage, and this has happened in the past, it's happened over and over again, what do I need to do? And it's basically the same terms as any other contract, except for you can't address custody in these prenups or these postnups, and that's merely because the court system needs to be involved when it comes to ordering who gets custody. You come to an agreement, sure, but you still need to submit that to the court for them to look over, whereas these are contracts. We often see these the day before the wedding. Everybody's coming into the office, it's very romantic, guys. They come in and everybody's sitting around. We've had people come in and hold hands. They will hold hands and they're signing away everything.
Oh, you were serious when you said it's romantic?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait a minute, I've never heard of the holding hands approach to this now.
Yeah.
It's the business deal part of the marriage.
It is the business deal part of a marriage,
Wow.
but they'll still come in, they'll hold hands, and they'll just sign everything. And but the thing is, a lot of times we make sure that we have a good lawyer who can explain the contract to the other side. So if you're drafting the contract, you make sure that the other side is represented, because you don't want it to seem like there's some sort of you want to make sure every T is crossed, every I is dotted. So typically we have the same attorneys that will say, hey, maybe you should call these people, and if you don't want to call them, then here you can Google anybody and see if you can find somebody who does family law to make sure that they understand prenuptial agreements.
And actually talk to us about postnuptial agreements.
Well, the postnuptials, what we've been seeing a lot is, if somebody has noticed, oh, my husband has been expending all of our family resources, and they've been doing it for a while. Maybe they're putting money into Bitcoin, and the next thing you know, the wife is done. She's done with the Bitcoin. She's done with that situation. She's like, hey, I'm either out, or we're going to figure out what we're going to do, because you want to be able to say, you're going to pay me back that money that you spent from you're going to pay it back to me as alimony, or you're going to pay it back to me as alimony and gross, which alimony is, periodic, is paying it every month, almost like child support, but spousal support.
Right.
Alimony and gross it's a property division. Okay. So say that they went and they spent, $400,000 worth of your money. And so you're saying, I need you to pay me back that and alimony and gross. So if we end up getting divorced, that's what's going to happen. And a lot of times, because they're contracts, the courts will enforce them. Okay. It's just, there's certain circumstances that you can't, the same reasons for contracts to get out of. Say somebody didn't have the capacity to sign it, or there wasn't a meeting of the minds. The person didn't really understand, or they didn't speak English, and the contract's completely in English.
Okay.
Ashley, how long does the process take? Let's say once you've made a decision that I want out of this marriage, from the beginning, when you first sit down with a client, how long is it before you're actually out of that marriage?
Ooh, okay, that depends.
Yeah.
That is a very lawyer answer, right? So, the funny thing about that is, when you look at it, just a random marriage comes in and they want to do an uncontested, then technically you have a cooling off period for 30 days. So they can sign their complaint, they file the complaint, and then 30 days later the judge can officially sign off on that divorce. However, if it's a contested divorce, I can never predict how long it will last. Right. I had one where one judge retired, another judge came in, people were filing post-judgment motions, things got reset. We just finished that case. I tried the case before the first judge. I think it was in 2015. Wow. And we got our final order last year.
Wow. And actually, those aren't jury trials, are they? Like we see on Perry Mason.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Oh, yes. That would be really. Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
I just can only imagine it,
Yes.
because the things that we have, and our exhibits and things like that are not things that you normally see in other types of cases. I mean, they're usually very, very sensitive things.
Matters, requires a judge.